What's up, gang? Kawaii50 here with another Fate Grand Order Servant Breakdown, and since the Amazonas event is coming out on NA soon, it's time to wrap up another Servant Breakdown I've kind of been waiting on for a little while. It's time to talk about the 4-star Berserker of El Dorado, who we all already know is Penthesilea. We're going to be going over craft essences, command codes, allies, pretty much everything you need to know to make sure that after you get that costume dress in the event, you have good reason to use this Berserker on your team. Hopefully this video helps you out, and if it does, be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe so you can help me out. Penth's deck is as Berserker as we could hope it would ever be. 1 quick, 1 arts, and 3 buster cards with a single target buster noble phantasm. Red card go brrr every single time. Her max HP of 10,175 is pretty decent, but considering she's a Berserker and she's going to be taking double damage from most everything, you might just want to pretend that's 1, but that's how it goes with pretty much any Berserker. Her max attack, however, is of special note. At 10,502, it is the second highest max attack among 4-star Berserkers. Why don't you go ahead and let everyone know down in the comments what the highest is. For NP per hit, it is a 1.07%, with which 1 2-hitting arts card and 1 3-hitting quick card seems like it might be low, but because of a special skill in Penthesilea's kit, her NP gain is actually really good, especially for a Berserker. You're likely going to see her Noble Phantasm a lot if you field her. As for star absorption, it is as can be expected from a Berserker. At a pitiful 9, do not expect her to be getting any crit stars unless you're generating a substantial amount of them. Penthesilea's first and third skills should be leveled in tandem, since they are both focused on doing the same thing, granting party-wide attack bonuses in some way, shape, or form. Her first skill, Charisma Rank B, gives all allies a 9 to 18% attack bonus for 3 turns. Very simple, yet very effective. As I said, level this in tandem with her third skill. Surprisingly, Penthesilea's most important skill is not necessarily attack-related. Golden Rule Beauty Rank A gives her 3 turns of debuff immunity, but also charges her NP gauge by 10 to 20% every turn for 3 turns, granting you a total of 30 to 60% Noble Phantasm gain during that period of time. This is absurd, and you will be seeing Penthesilea's Noble Phantasm fire off multiple times in a battle if she is your main damage dealer. This is easily absolute priority, and it grants her a bit of an edge that other Berserkers can't really seem to get through without some serious support. Though, of course, if you give Penthesilea some NP charge support, that's going to go ahead and supercharge this further. And Penth's final skill is Roar of the God of War Rank A+. This grants all allies a 10 to 20% buster card effectiveness for 3 turns, especially effective on Penthesilea considering her deck. It also grants her a 50 to 100% damage bonus against Greek mythology males. This is a huge damage bonus that you will see paying dividends if it ever happens to pop off, but there are very few Greek mythology males in Fate Grand Order, so odds are you're not going to be seeing this most of the time. Penthesilea's passive skills deserve special mention solely because of how her deck is built. She has Madness Enhancement EX, automatically increasing her buster card effectiveness by 12%. With 3 buster cards in her normal deck and a buster type Noble Phantasm, this helps raise Penthesilea's damage exponentially. For her append skills, I can actually recommend 2 of them. Because she is a Berserker, follow-up technique improvement can actually be really good, with her hitting for effectiveness most of the time. You're going to be wanting to hit with those face cards, so go ahead and grant her a little bit of extra damage on top of that for when you inevitably Brave Chain with her. Mana loading is always good. That 10 to 20% is incredible, especially considering Penthesilea has the ability to charge an additional 60% over 3 turns. Penthesilea's Noble Phantasm is Outrage Amazon. This is 600 to 1000% damage to a single enemy, and on overcharge it decreases the enemy's attack by 10 to 30% for 3 turns. The overcharge effect is fairly lackluster. The main thing you're going to be excited about is the fact that because of Penth's kit, you're going to be firing this Noble Phantasm off a lot, so expect to get used to the animation. NP2 seems to be the sweet spot with most Noble Phantasms, and this one is no exception. A 200% damage boost is going to be fairly noticeable. So who to pair Penthesilea with in order to give her the maximum effectiveness? Well, she is a single target buster type Berserker, so we're going to want to build her like a boss slayer. This makes Merlin the primary choice when it comes to pretty much any supporter. Merlin is going to help give her the survivability because of her paper-thin Berserker health stats, and also grant her a significant amount of damage and the potential to regain some health in the event she does get hit and ends up surviving. But of course, there are some other options. Let's go ahead and start with the freebies. My first recommendation will be Chen Gong, and no, it is not so he can fire Penthesilea like a missile. He will be able to grant her a 30 to 50% buster card effectiveness for one turn, as well as increase her critical strength if she happens to go ahead and get some critical stars. That max HP bonus of 2,000 to 3,000 isn't gonna hurt either. On top of that, he can of course increase her Noble Phantasm gauge by a flat 10%, and force another ally to get targeted, maybe even himself. If you know a bad single target Noble Phantasm is coming, you're going to be happy you have Scapegoat. Of course, we also need to talk about the OG budget buster support, William Shakespeare. Shakespeare's enchant skill is still incredibly good, granting a 20 to 40% buster card effectiveness boost. But his King's Men skill from his rank up quests is actually much better for Penthesilea. That NP gauge of 20%, you chuck that on with her second skill maxed out, as well as that starting boost from the append skill, that is an easy 100% guaranteed Noble Phantasm within the first 3 turns. That's going to be mighty helpful in a challenge quest. Nightingale is of course going to be helpful in several ways, first and foremost having the ability to recover Penthesilea's HP in multiple ways. If she happens to end up surviving an attack, this is going to be very helpful in keeping her on the field longer. Angel's Cry, of course, is a substantial boost of 30 to 50% to her buster card effectiveness for 3 turns. Since this lines up with both of Penthesilea's attack buffs, you're going to be able to see a substantial and consistent boost in damage. And finally, of course, we have Queen Himiko. Himiko being able to grant Penthesilea even more of an attack boost, as well as some critical stars. With her generating 8 stars per turn for each ally, you're going to actually see Penthesilea critting. Imagine that. But of course, we've got her Noble Phantasm, increasing Penth's buster card effectiveness as well as her critical strength. The NP overcharge level isn't necessarily helpful, but if you are fighting a boss in a challenge quest, any sort of detriment is going to be better than nothing, so why not hit them with a reduction of their attack? For Penthesilea's craft essences, you're going to want to focus on buster card effectiveness, NP strength, and starting NP gauge in that order of priority. Buster card effectiveness, of course, being because of her stacked deck. I really like Aerial Drive as a budget CE, and if you happen to have this from the Halloween event, well, you are set. This grants buster card effectiveness, NP strength, and NP gauge, all 3 of the things Penthesilea wants. If you don't happen to have this, I can solidly recommend Dragon's Meridian, granting Penthesilea a starting 30 to 50% NP gauge. Ensures an easy charge to 100% thanks to her second skill. Golden Sumo is still, of course, one of the premier luxury freebie options since Onigashima hasn't gotten a rerun in a very long while. 15% attack plus a starting 50% NP gauge, every Berserker loves this, Penthesilea included. Now, a couple of other things you can focus on when it comes to 5-star CEs. Of course, the Black Grail can be an incredible option, especially for Penthesilea, since she's able to easily charge her Noble Phantasm to 100%. If you don't have that, you can also do well with Limited Zero Over, again, because of her stacked Buster deck. And finally, we've got the command codes. For a great budget option, I actually really like Code Mortal on Penthesilea, since it increases her damage against human enemies by 5%. You're going to be fighting a lot of servants, and a lot of them are going to have the human trait, so you might as well send Penthesilea out there with a damage boost. Of course, Penthesilea has debuff immunity, but some of those might end up slipping through if her skill's on cooldown, so you can give her White Vessel's Command Seal to remove one of those debuffs when she attacks. There's also a couple of other things you can use to increase her damage. Fine Sword, or Excellently Crafted Blade, if you are on JP, grants Ignore Invincibility on the engraved card. Put this on a Buster card. The same honestly goes for Sword of Beginning and End. This increases the damage on the engraved card by 1,000. It's a flat 1,000 damage, so it's not going to be affected by effectiveness boosts because of her Berserker class, but it's still bonus damage on one of her face cards. I can also recommend Mage of Flowers. Once every 3 turns, this charges Penthesilea's NP gauge by 10% when she attacks using that card. Considering the effectiveness of her second skill, any extra boost you can give to that is going to help her use her Noble Phantasm more frequently. And since she's using her Noble Phantasm more frequently, you can also consider Da Vinci on her. This increases Noble Phantasm damage, and it has to be used before using the Noble Phantasm. But you chuck this on a Buster card, you'll likely end up using this in a Buster Brave Chain. The damage trade-off is going to be worth it. To sum it all up, gang, I do legitimately believe that Penthesilea is still one of the best 4-star Berserkers in the entire game. She comes equipped with everything you would want a Berserker to have. She has a stacked Buster deck. She has abilities to increase her Buster effectiveness, and she has a reliable way to consistently charge her Noble Phantasm, something a lot of Berserkers don't have. If it wasn't for the sheer dominance exuded by Heracles with his Castle in the Snow craft essence, I would go on and say that Penthesilea easily takes the cake. But Heracles is a hard mountain to climb, and Penthesilea, unfortunately, isn't able to hold up to Castle in the Snow, such an amazing Bond CE. But if you don't have Heracles, or you're just looking to use somebody different, you could do far, far worse than Penthesilea. She is an incredible pick, and you should be happy if you summon her to your Chaldea. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know how you feel about the CEO of Amazonas down in the comments section below. Let me know if you think there are any allies, craft essences, or command codes I might have missed, and let me know if you're running any fun teams with or without Penthesilea for the upcoming Tower event. If you want to talk more Fate Grand Order, my Discord server is of course always open. I want to give a big thanks to all the patrons on Patreon, all the subscribers and followers on Twitch, and of course all of you on YouTube for your continuous support. But anyways, gang, this is Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I will see you all in the next video.